Committee of Adjustment meeting. I'd like someone to call the meeting to order. Moved by Sam, second by Stephanie. All those in favor of calling the meeting to order? Meeting is called to order. Approval of the agenda as presented. Can I get a mover? Moved by Mayor Prevost, second by Councillor McDonnell. All those in favor? It's carried. Can I get an approval of the minutes of the January 18th, 2021 meeting? Moved by Mayor Prevost. Can I get a seconder? I can't see Councillor Lang.
I'll second it.
Okay, thank you. Second by Councillor Lang. All those in favor of the minutes? Motion is carried. Number 4, are there any declarations of pecuniary interest? Not seeing or hearing any. Moving on to A02-21 Senecal, Ms. Haley.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Welcome everyone to tonight's meeting. For members of the public that are participating by Zoom or by phone, you will be permitted to speak to the respective application following my presentation. Prior to speaking, we ask that you please state your name and your address for the record. If you wish to make a comment at tonight's meeting, please use the raise hand function and the chair will call on you. If you have registered to participate in the meeting by phone, to speak to an application, you will be asked if you would like to comment on the application after the applicable presentation. So now I'm going to read a wording that's required to be read under the Ontario Planning Act. So this is a hearing under Section 44 of the Ontario Planning Act. Any person may attend this hearing and/or make written or verbal representation either in support of or in opposition to the proposed minor variance. If a person or public body does not make oral or written submissions at this hearing before the minor variance is decided upon, the person or public body is not entitled to appeal the decision of the minor variance of the Committee of Adjustment to the Local Planning Appeal Tribunal, also known as LPAT. If a person or public body does not make oral submissions at a hearing or make written submissions to the Committee of Adjustment or the Township of South Glengarry before the minor variance is decided upon, the person or public body may not be added as a party to the hearing of an appeal unless, in the opinion of the tribunal, there are reasonable grounds to do so. So I'm going to start with application A0221. This application is located in part of lot 35 and 36, concession 1, geographic township of Lancaster, which is now South Glengarry. It's also known as 2500 Old Montreal Road in South Lancaster. This is the location of the subject property, and just to the left of my screen or to the west would be the village of South Lancaster. The property, I'm just going to provide some history of the property. This property was previously developed containing a single detached dwelling, a detached garage, a shed, and an in-ground pool. This dwelling was removed and replaced with a new single detached dwelling in 2020, and the new dwelling is located further from the St. Lawrence River on the south side of the property than the previous dwelling. A minor variance was granted in 2020 to permit the new construction of the dwelling within the 30-meter watercourse setback. The applicant now proposes to build a pool cabane, or a pool house, I called it in the formal notice, at a size of approximately 282 square feet, which is proposed to be located on the south side of the new dwelling. So the purpose of the minor variance that's before you this evening is to reduce the watercourse setback from 30 meters to 12.41 meters to the southwest corner of the proposed pool house and to 14.01 meters to the southeast corner of the proposed pool house. Here's a site plan that was provided. This is the home that's currently under construction. And in this location is going to be a landscape patio with an in-ground pool here. And then this is the location of the proposed pool cabane or pool house with a section right here that's going to accommodate the equipment, the pump, and the heater for the pool. This is what the pool house is going to look like. So you can see that it's open on 3 sides and it has a solid back wall. And then this space in this location is the area that's enclosed to accommodate the equipment for the pool. So the property is designated residential district in the county official plan and is located in the urban settlement area of South Lancaster. And the application conforms to the general intent of the official plan. And the property is zoned residential 2 and floodplain and conforms to the general intent of the zoning bylaw. The reason why I'm stating that is because this property was previously developed. It has gone through previous minor variance approval, as well as the removal of floodplain holding, as up-to-date topographical survey was provided to prove that a majority of the property is outside the floodplain. The application was circulated to applicable municipal staff. The building department has no concerns with the application. Planning staff typically does not support development within 15 meters of the watercourse setback, as per the policies. However, because this property was previously developed and also had a pool closer to the water, planning staff has no concerns with the application. Another portion as well, section 5.2 of the zoning bylaw allows for the construction of a new accessory building within the floodplain. There's a small portion of this structure that's going to be located in the floodplain. It would be the southwest corner. So the bylaw permits this, providing that the accessory structure does not exceed 25% of the floor area of the existing building. And as you can see from the drawings and the drawings that we provided, as well as the images, you can tell that this is a very small structure in comparison to the home. This is an image of what the property looked like prior to the new development. This is where the in-ground pool was previously located. This is where the house was previously located. This is where the existing boathouse is. So now in this location is the proposed dwelling that's currently under construction, that's facing east or facing south, but it's long in terms of east-west. And then the new pool would be located rectangularly in this location, with the pool house located approximately in this location. The RCA was circulated on the application. They do not support the application due to the setbacks being less than 15 meters and the proximity of the proposed structure to the floodplain. And with the RCA is concerned always with natural hazards and what the impact would be to the structure if there was ever any flooding events. And so when they base their opinion on their guidelines, and they interpret this proposed development to not conform to the PPS and the OP. And this is where you get conflicting information in comparison to the planning documents that we have. And as I mentioned, we can support some development providing it's not greater than 25%. We know it was previously developed. And so that's where you're going to see a difference of opinion. The RCA did not support the reduced setback on the east side of the newly constructed house. However, they did issue an Ontario regulation permit, and I've received no public comments to date. So this really comes down to what the committee feels is the best decision to make. I'm sorry you're getting conflicting recommendations from staff. We work with different, we work with the same pieces of legislation, and we also work with different pieces of legislation. And if there's any questions, I know that the applicant, Mr. Senecal, would like to speak and provide more details in terms of the development. And then after that, I'd be happy to answer any questions.
Okay, that sounds good. Mayor Prevost.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I do have some comments, but maybe I'll wait till Mr. Senecal does his, I guess, his comments that he wanted to bring forward first.
Yep, okay, Gary. Kelly, am I the host? I'm trying to let him speak and it's not working.
Sorry, just a second, Lyle. Okay, Mr.
Okay.
Senecal should be able to speak.
Okay,
Hello,
Gary,
can you hear me?
go ahead. Yes, we can now. Thank you.
All right, thank you. It's Gary Senecal from 20500 Old Montreal Road. Thank you for the opportunity, and Joanne, thank you for doing a good job of covering it. We've been working on the site together with our partners at the township and our contractor for about the last year. We feel making it better than what it was. We dealt with the pool that Joanne mentioned. That was probably about 5 meters from that front wall. We also were able to get rid of a temporary petrol holding tank that was located right along the east wall of the property. We didn't feel like we were going to need it. Also, we didn't think it was good to have it right along the east wall of the water. I think important from our perspective on this site is when I seen the feedback from the Raisin River conservation area. I think they had the impression that we were going to build a house beside the pool, and that's why I shared the drawings with Joanne. Of our intentions are to solve two issues. When we had our plans being reviewed with our landscaper, he had mentioned there's two issues that he had seen. One was we have no shade, so that is the front part of that pool cabana. It's essentially a 14 by 10 4 posts with a roof on it. And the second feedback he gave us was keeping the pool equipment outside in the elements was probably not good for the pool equipment, but also not good for the neighbors and not good for ourselves from a sound perspective. So we attempted to build the smallest utility shed that we could, respecting the clearances required for the electrical and the water that would be used in there. So we have no intentions of building any type of dwelling or any type of showers or lofts. It's essentially a shaded area for the pool. And then on the front, the stone wall does come up about 5 feet from the water. And there's an additional probably 1 meter of sidewalk that goes past the edge of the property. And that's just for context. I understand it's not how we measure, but it's just for context. So with that, I'm prepared to answer any questions or provide any further details required.
Okay, thank you very much for that feedback, Gary. I'll open the floor up to any questions. Mayor Prevost.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Just a comment in regards to the proposed building that he's looking to put on site. As Joanne stated earlier, he's cleaned up the property. He's improved the property drastically in regards to also even moving the buildings back further from the shoreline. I don't think it's a building that's going to interfere with anything along the water side, so I have no problem supporting this application.
Okay, thank you very much, Mayor Prevost. Councillor McDonnell. You're still muted.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I don't see an issue either. As far as I'm concerned, he's essentially building two structures that we would regularly allow, but just put together. There's really only one structure, in my opinion. The other one's just it's a very nice gazebo, is what it is. It isn't going to have to be replaced in 5 years, so I don't see an issue myself with it.
Okay, thank you very much, Councillor Jaworski.
Thank you, through you, Mr. Chair. So as folks might recall, when the house came before the committee, I had some concerns about the part of the house that went past that 15-meter setback from the water. And I guess, but I do fully acknowledge that they're doing lots of good work in improving the site and ensuring that it has less negative impact on the water's edge. And I see that the RCA, it does seem that their comments are, they do seem to say that the pool cabana, the structure, could be something that has plumbing and washrooms and change rooms, and it sounds like it's much more, but that's quite a bit bigger than what was shown to us in pictures, the picture just now. But I guess what I would like to understand is, I don't know if this is Ms. Haley or Mr. Senecal who could elaborate, just to give me a bit more understanding of where is this pool cabana versus previous structures that were there? I mean, I understand there was the pool, but I guess I'm thinking more in terms of buildings themselves, where it lines up.
I can take that if that's appropriate, Joanne. I'm not sure what the appropriate.
Please do,
Sure.
Mr. Senecal.
Yeah, I think it is probably about 2 or 3 meters closer to the south water's edge than the last building. I don't have the exact dimensions, but it is, it is certainly closer than the previous dwelling, but significantly set back to the previous pool.
Okay,
And
thank you.
maybe just one point that I forgot to mention. I have reviewed this plan with the neighbor directly to the west to make sure that he was comfortable and they were comfortable with it, and they both supported as well.
So just if I may follow up. So Ms. Haley, if it were to a pool, is that a pool in this context? Is it considered sort of part of the property line, like would a process to have a pool put in, would that follow a similar process as a building like in this area, or would be very separate?
Through you, Mr. Chair, we regulate the locations of pools, but we allow pools to be located within the watercourse setback, and so does the RCA. The difference here is that you'll notice in the RSCA's comments, they talk about no site alteration or development in a floodplain. Well, site alteration and development already occurred in the floodplain because of the previous location of the existing in-ground pool. So in this particular case, they're improving that situation from where it was located in the original dwelling, original property. As Mr. Senecal indicated, that this proposed structure is going closer, but it's not a structure that's a house where it's livable space. The RSCA was provided with the dimensions of the structure, and perhaps maybe they didn't think, like, it's as a 286 square foot structure is not overly large to be adding a bathroom in, and you'd be adding other, plumbing fixtures and things like that. We had discussed this with the RSCA a year ago when the house was being built, but a lot of time has passed, and perhaps they forgot about those details. And at that time, Mr. Senecal did not include that information on the plans regarding the pool house, because he wanted the construction to occur to make sure it was going to go in the location that he was thinking it would go in. So that's why this minor variance came forward at a later date.
Thank you.
Okay, is there any other comments or questions? See, Councillor Lang, you're on mute.
There we go. Sorry about that. I'll make a motion to approve this.
Okay, moved by Councillor Lang to approve as presented, second by Mayor Prevost. All those in favor? Motion is carried. Thank you very much. Thank you for your comments, Mr. Senecal.
Thank you.
Okay, moving on to A0321, Pommier and Cameron. Ms. Haley.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. So this property is located at part of Lot 10, at Concession 1 Broken Front Indian Lands in the geographic township of Charlottenburg, which is now South Glengarry, also known as 18240 County Road 2. It's located on the south side of County Road 2 in the village of Glenwalter. Here's a key map or a location map of the subject property. You can see this is Purcell Road, so it's just to the west of Purcell Road on the south side. This property is currently developed. It's been listed or named as containing a tired small cottage that is currently not being used or lived in. So the applicant, who is the agent on behalf of the property owner, is looking to demolish the existing single detached dwelling and to construct a new single detached structure on the established footprint, with the exception of extending the south main wall to the west following the established building line, and the addition of a front entrance stairs and landing to be located within the United Counties road allowance. Because of this proposed redevelopment, the following request is required for minor variance: to reduce the watercourse setback from 30 meters to 4.85 meters to the southwest corner of the proposed single detached structure. And for part 6 is to reduce the front yard setback from 6 meters to 0 meters to the proposed step to access the new single detached structure. This is a site plan that has been provided to us that was prepared for the application. The area in yellow identifies the existing structure. This area where I've highlighted in green is the proposed front steps that will be located within the road allowance. This area here is where the minor variance is required because we're extending that main wall, or the applicant's proposing to extend the main wall to square off the building. This green area that's here is not part of the structure. It's a cantilevered balcony, so that will be above on the second floor. And I just want to point out, in this location where the existing structure is, you can see that this is beyond the property line. This line represents the property line. However, a few years ago, Mr. Pommier, the property owner, actually purchased this property from the United Counties to ensure that he would own the lands beneath the structure, and worked closely with the United Counties. The United Counties has been involved in the pre-consultation portion for this redevelopment. And they recognize that they will allow new construction on the existing footprint, and they'll also permit the staircase to be within the setback. So this property is designated residential district in the county official plan, and it's located within the Glen Walter urban settlement area. It does conform to the general intent of the official plan, as it's a residential property. And the property is zoned residential 1 and conforms to the general intent of the zoning bylaw. These this application was circulated to applicable municipal staff, and planning and building have no concerns with the application, as the proposed construction is proposed on the existing footprint and is following established building lines. I've just got some information highlighted here as well, where a setback permit is going to be required. This should say County Road 2, not 27, I apologize. And also an Ontario regulation permit is required from the Raisin Region Conservation Authority before construction is permitted. And the RCA does support this redevelopment. And I've received no formal public comments to date. I received one phone call from a neighboring property owner, just asking general information on grading and drainage and how it works when people redeveloped. But that person did not express concerns or follow up with anything in writing, although I do believe he's going to be participating in the meeting this evening. And I do know that the applicant, Mr. Cameron, is available for any further comments or questions. So thank you.
Okay, Ms. Haley, thank you very much. If Mr. Cameron wants to put his hand up, if he wants to speak, he's permitted to do so. I just wanted to state to the committee that I'm happy that county has they've taken a more proactive approach to these type of grandfathered properties, and it's good to see that we're actually getting it where the property is actually the owner, like it's actually the land. You know, they sell the land to the homeowners. So I think it's good the county's taking that approach. Councillor Jaworski.
Thank you. Through you, Mr. Chair. Sorry about that. So Ms. Haley, correct me if I'm wrong, but in the image you were showing, the stairs there, those front stairs are outside of what the owner owns. So it's on the county road allowance. How does that work? Or was there like kind of special consideration given to the fact that the front stairs aren't on their land?
Yeah, so as I mentioned, the United Counties participated in a pre-consultation meeting, and they put in writing that they had no concerns with the steps being located within their county road allowance. And so that's the reason for the reduction in the front yard setback to 0 to accommodate the steps. You'll notice that I framed the wording so that it's to accommodate really the steps only, although the whole front property line's at a 0 meter setback because they only purchased the amount of land that's beneath that existing structure. So if the county has no concerns with it, then we would issue a building permit accordingly and would permit those steps to be located in that location.
Okay. All right. Thank you.
Okay, perfect. I believe sometimes the counties enters into encroachment agreements and stuff like that, where they work with the property owner. Okay, that's great. Any other questions? I do not see any of, oh, Marty is here. Okay. Go ahead, Mr. Cameron. You're ready to talk if you'd like.
Thank you. Can you hear me?
I can.
Okay, well, thank you very much. Joanne, you did a very thorough job, so I don't have to rehash any of that. I just wanted to comment on two things. One was the front steps. Those will be mainly a landscape item, more so than steps attached to the structure. And the second point would be the drainage. The drainage, which is being looked at present, will not change that dramatically from what is existing right now. So that was the only two comments I had.
Okay, thank you very much for that. I have a Mr. Reg Orange with his hand up, so I will permit him to talk. Go ahead, Reg, unmute yourself and you can talk. Oh, maybe I have to, oh, there we go.
Hi.
Hello.
Yeah. Hi. I'm Reg Orange's wife. We're at 18242 right next door on the west side of this property.
Yes,
And we just want to make sure about the drainage, because we used to live in Baynesville on the waterfront, and we had a problem where the people next door had built up considerably higher than our property, and we just want to be reassured that that is not going to happen here.
I can speak
Ms.
to that,
Haley?
Mr. Chair, if you wish, yes.
Hmm?
So thank you for your comments, Mrs. Orange. We now have a bylaw that's called the Site Plan Control Bylaw. It's been in effect since 2010. And it requires all new development and redevelopment to go through a site plan control process where we primarily look at the existing grades, the proposed grades, and we require the site to be designed to ensure that it doesn't negatively impact the abutting property owners. There's a couple of positive things about this location in comparison to the location that you described. First of all, this location is on municipal water and sewer. So that tends to not result in a lot of grade changes because we're not installing septic systems that have to be at a different elevation or more fill brought in. Secondly, in this location, the property is very small, building on the existing footprint, and there's not a lot of a grade change that's required. And so it won't result in a big difference and will require swales to be located on the east and west property lines that would result in the drainage probably being directed to the river for the south half. And then sometimes the northern portion along the county road would go towards the county road or the county road catch basins. If this application is approved this evening, then the next step would be for Mr. Cameron to apply for site plan control. That site plan is then designed, it's circulated to the Raisin Region Conservation Authority, the United Counties, and staff review it. Once that site plan meets the township's bylaw, then it's approved, and then we prepare an agreement to bring to council for approval. And the site plan control agreement is then registered on title to ensure that the current property owner, as well as all future property owners, are aware of the approved site plan and what the design was approved. So I hope that answers your question. I know I was able to give you a little bit more information in writing, but if you have further questions, you're welcome to reach me at any time during office hours if you wish, or you can ask more this evening. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Thank you.
I just want to mention, I'm still on the air, am I?
yes,
Okay, I just want to mention one thing about where we are. There's water that collects in the front, and there was a drainage issue, and they put in a drain going down towards the river to carry away the water that was in the front. Just to let you know, and that was a big thing about the drainage.
Yeah. Is that going to happen next door? I guess so, eh?
Ms. Haley?
So again, the site plan is going to be required to show how the property is going to drain. As to
Okay.
exactly which method at this point, I can't speak to that. It could be
Okay.
a combination of swale, it could be a French drain, a big O. Those are things that are going to be looked at specifically when the design is completed.
Okay.
Okay, and the just one other question. The house, it's a 2-story, like just a normal kind of house. Is it like a brick, or is that decided later on when you get the house plans?
Mr. Chair, I think Mr. Cameron should answer that question just so it's accurate, if you don't mind.
Okay.
Yeah, no, that's fine. Mr. Cameron,
Yes, can you still hear me?
we
Yeah.
can.
Okay, can you see me as well?
No,
No,
Okay. Yes, it's going to look like a traditional old farmhouse. It's 2-story from the front and it's 3 stories from the back.
Okay.
It won't be any higher than the neighbor to the east. It will be a little higher than your property to the west, but that's mainly just the roof structure.
Okay.
yeah, we're
But-
off to the east on that one.
We're on the east.
but-
I'm sorry. Yeah, we're on the east side of that
Oh,
property.
you're on the east side. Okay,
Yeah,
so
sorry
it
about
will,
that. Yeah.
okay. So if you're
Okay.
on the east side, it will almost match the heights of the house that you have there.
Okay,
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, that's it for us. I
that's
think,
about all
yeah.
we need to know then.
We were concerned. Yeah.
And
Okay.
just to address your grading issue, the house is still going to be at least 12 feet away from your property line,
Yeah.
which Joanne mentioned will be covered under site plan control. But the drainage, the way I've seen it so far, is it's a natural swale and it certainly won't impact your property whatsoever.
Okay,
Okay,
thanks
good,
very much.
good to know. Thank you for answering that. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Perfect. Wonderful. Okay, great. Are there any other questions of the members of the committee? Seeing none, may I get someone to move approve as presented? Moved by Councillor McDonnell, second by Councillor Jaworski. All those in favor?
Aye.
Motion is carried. Thank you. Moving on to A-0421 Blue Anchor Restaurant. Miss Haley.
Okay, so our last application this evening is located at part of Lot 4, Concession 1, Broken Front, Indian Lands. It's located on 18392 County Road 2 and also known as the Blue Anchor Restaurant. Here is a key map of the subject property. You can see is at the end of Page Drive, and it encompasses this entire blacked out area. So the applicant has constructed an addition to an existing deck that is located on the south side and attached to the commercial establishment known as the Blue Anchor. And the deck that was added is 12 feet to the south by 56.5 feet in width, which is the width of the current existing deck. So the following relief from the bylaws requested: to reduce the watercourse setback from 30 meters to 6 meters to accommodate the newly constructed deck, and to reduce the required parking spaces from 49 spaces to 37 spaces. Here is a site plan that was provided to us. In this location, you can see where it says frame deck, which is the old deck. And then this is the location of the new deck where it's highlighted more in the hatched or outlined area labeled new frame deck. And then this is the existing parking layout. You can see in this layout, there are 37 parking spaces available on the existing site. The township is aware that the owners of the Blue Anchor own a property across the road that is used for excess parking. The reason why this parking lot is not calculated in the requirement is because it's an independent parcel. It's not physically attached and it could be sold at any time. However, we do recognize that the owners have been responsible in providing additional parking, and that we also allow for parking on Page Drive as we don't have any do not park signs or no parking signs in that location. The property is designated commercial district in the county official plan and is located in the urban settlement area of Glen Walter. And the application does conform to the general intent of the official plan. The property is zoned core commercial and conforms to the general intent of the zoning bylaw. The application was circulated to applicable municipal staff. Planning is concerned with the reduced setback to 6 meters simply because in this case, there was no structure there previously. We don't encourage or permit development to go closer to the water. The building department does require a building permit for the deck if the application is approved. The RCA was circulated on this application and they support the application. The position they take is that the property is already developed. It's basically entirely constructed on, or it's paved. So the surface is already there and they're willing to support it. And they do require the applicant to apply for an Ontario regulation development permit, and that will allow to bring the deck into compliance. I've received several verbal comments from the public to date in regards to parking issues along County Road 2, but I've not received any formal written comments. We also circulated the United Counties of SDNG, and this is a copy of their comments. So the county has indicated that they can confirm that they've dealt with a number of parking related issues on County Road 2 in this area, specifically as it relates to on-shoulder parking. Currently, there are a number of no parking signs in the vicinity of the restaurant. The county will be reviewing the location and installation of these signs to ensure that they comply with the requirement of the Highway Traffic Act. Please note that this no parking is enforced by the OPP. The county has no objection to the proposed minor variance and encourages the owners to ensure that their guests are parking in a legal and safe manner, or they will face enforcement through the Highway Traffic Act. So as I mentioned, I received several comments regarding parking, and I did share those comments with United Counties on Friday afternoon, and that's what resulted in these comments. And so I think in moving forward, they will be looking at the location of the signs, and they will be taking these comments seriously. So any other comments that may be received this evening, we can certainly pass on to the United Counties as well. And at this time, I don't have any further comments, but I do know that Mr. Latreille, the applicant, is available to provide additional information, Mr. Chair.
Okay, thank you very much. Mr. Latreille, if you want to speak, just raise your hand. I'm happy that the Conservation Authority is supporting this, as it basically has already been developed for many, many years. I would say probably even longer than the mayor has been alive. So, John, I'm going to allow you to speak. Just need to unmute, allow to talk. There you go. I believe you have your mic on mute, John.
Can you hear me, Lyle?
We can now.
Hello?
Go ahead, sir.
Okay. Yes, I appreciate that. We've increased the deck by 12 feet rather than to provide, well, basically to provide a safe environment for our waitresses and our staff and our clientele. We didn't want to put tables and chairs in the parking lot, and so we proceeded this way. And I know that there has been concerns with parking, and that basically happens during the summer months, especially during the vacation periods. We realize that. And so one of the things we've done, and I think Joanne mentioned that, is we do have a parking lot across the road. And we were going to advertise on Facebook and put signage up at the parking lot so that our customers would realize that there is parking across the road. And rather than parking on Page Drive, I'd rather see them park there. And I think it will go a long way to alleviating any problems with congestion during the summer months.
That's good to know, John. Are there any questions
Yes.
of the committee? Mayor Prevost, you had your hand up.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Just a question and a comment. John, I like the idea of the fact of putting up signs across the street. I think probably a lot of people that don't come in from the area would not realize that that extra parking is for the Blue Anchor. So I think signs would definitely work there. My question to Mrs. Haley, if she can answer it, or maybe Mr. Latreille can answer it. When you said there was previously 49 parking spots and we're reducing it to 37, just wondering where those 12 spots are coming from, because the addition of the deck that Mr. Latreille has put onto the Blue Anchor, I don't believe has taken away from parking spots on the south end of the Blue Anchor. So I'm just not sure where they're coming from.
The size changed the number required. The size of the veranda, it changed the number of parking spots required under
Should
the
have
act.
it increased the number though, but she
Because
has
of the-
for a decrease, is she not?
Right, but you see the regulation, the increased capacity required more parking spaces. Sorry, Ms. Haley, go ahead. And therefore,
okay.
they're requesting the reduction because they don't have the space. That's why it's requiring the minor variance.
Okay, I just want,
Can I just jump in for a second?
yeah, go ahead, John.
Hello?
Yep,
Yeah, we haven't increased the capacity, and it's exactly the same, and it always will stay the same. If anything, we'd like to reduce our capacity as far as our customers are concerned. But there was no parking allowed in front of the south section of the deck.
Right.
So it didn't change anything as far as the parking requirements whatsoever. So I just wanted to mention that.
okay,
So-
thanks.
I'll just
Thank
add to that, Mr. Chair.
Please-
just to
Yeah,
maybe
please
help
speak to that
provide-
so we're all on the right page, please.
Yeah, I'll just help provide further clarification if there's any members of the public that's wondering. In our zoning bylaw, we have a calculation for required parking for all different types of businesses. And it's based on square footage of the serving area. So when you do the calculation of the square footage of the serving area in terms of the inside space as well as the outside space, then you come up with a number of required parking spaces. So with the information that was provided to us with the applicant in doing that formula, the answer is you required 49 spaces. It's probably the case that there was insufficient parking to begin with in advance of increasing the deck space. And then adding that deck space would actually increase the need for parking based on the calculation. So as I mentioned, we know that there was parking across the road, but it couldn't be included. So anytime there's new space added, either interior or exterior, we calculate the parking, we determine if the applicant can provide it. If they can, that's great. If they can't, they always have an opportunity to apply for a variance to reduce the required number of parking spaces. So just to be clear, there are no spaces that are being removed. The deck is not impacting the parking lot. It's all based on the calculation of the bylaw for the serving area.
Thank you very much, Ms. Haley. Okay, I'm going to go over to Christine Laponce. She has her hand up. Go ahead, Ms. Laponce. Just unmute yourself.
Thank you, Lyle. I live across the road from the Blue Anchor at 18407 Highway 2, but I do have over 200 feet of waterfront on the same side, on the south side. The parking has always been an issue, but I understand that this deck was actually expanded last year. It's not something that they're going to be doing now. There's only one existing sign for no parking, which is located closer to the Blue Anchor. It doesn't show the amount of area that's you're not supposed to park. I do understand there used to be another sign, but it has disappeared or it's been knocked down. My concern or questions is there some type of marking that can be put on the actual pavement, because it is a bike path that's there? And it's very disheartening to sit out on the front porch and have my entire view blocked by vehicles, trucks, boats that are parked right along the highway. There are absolutely no bylaw officers that are on duty on the weekends. So if you're going to raise any complaints, you would have to call either the OPP. You certainly don't want to have to walk over to the Blue Anchor 5 or 6 times a day to say, hey, do you know your customers are parking along the highway? So my concern again is just ongoing, because the deck has already been expanded. What can we look forward to for help for existing parking now? Go ahead.
Go ahead, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Just to answer Mrs. Laponce's question, I guess between yourself and I at the county council level, we can have that conversation with Mr. DeHaan to make sure that the proper signage is put up along County Road 2, and to make sure that there is no parking signs put up where they're supposed to be. And then like Mr. Latreille has stated, that he'll put up signs on his property across the street, identifying that that is additional parking. Like I said earlier, there's probably a lot of people that park along the road that probably don't realize that extra parking across the road belongs to the Blue Anchor. But with Mr. Latreille's comments, I think that will rectify a lot of it, but I'll make sure that through our roads department at the county side, that will rectify some more signage along County Road 2, and we'll talk about to see if we can put anything on the bike path of no vehicle traffic parking along County Road 2.
So again, the deck has already been completed, but we're just getting this application for a minor variance now. The permit has been passed out, it's done.
So, Ms. Laplace, I'm sure you could respect the situation that a lot of businesses were in last year with the COVID situation, and our municipality tried our best to work with those businesses to allow them to adapt to the COVID environment. And this is basically putting that situation to conformity.
Also to that, Mr. Chair, the province of Ontario allowed these additions to be added without going through that complete process with Mr. Latreille is applying for now because of COVID-19, that he was allowed to do what he did back last spring, maybe midsummer. I can't remember exactly when that occurred, but it was allowed by the province, and we worked with Mr. Latreille through the municipality to try and help him out to provide access for his deck and allow him, his customers to enjoy the summer months of the Blue Anchor, and to make sure that he stayed, his business survived. And like again, the province allowed that, so we just work with him to make sure that And we continue working with him to make sure that he followed this process, and that's why he's here this evening.
So just one last question, Mayor Provo, is it South Glengarry who can approve signage or markings going up, or do you have to go to another department because it's a highway?
Yeah, so the road is owned by the county, so the County Road 2 is owned by the county, so to be the Ben Hahn, which is the road superintendent for the counties, would have to approve those, but myself and Deputy Mayor Warden do sit on the county council, so we'll make sure that we bring that up to Mr. Don.
All right, thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you. Okay, so any questions? Oh, yep, Councillor Jaworski.
Thank you, through you, Mr. Chair. So I think it's really good that the Blue Anchor was able to make some adjustments to deal with COVID and being able to enable more social distancing by expanding their seating area. But by the same token, they do have parking challenges. And now that the deck is larger, once things go back to normal, they will have more seating area, and likely the parking challenges will be worse than what they were before. And so my question, I guess it's to more Ms. Haley, is there anything, I mean, it's great that if we can get the counties to do some more signage, it's great if we can get them, but I guess I'm looking at this from the standpoint of, is there something in this process that can have the Blue Anchor also be part of that solution in terms of them having to put up signage of their own and their own, like, to ensure that they are directing people also to that overflow parking and sort of have that be part officially of the solution here? Or is that not possible?
Through you, Mr. Chair, we can definitely work with the Blue Anchor to encourage them to encourage their patrons to park, as Mr. Littre had mentioned, in their parking lot across the road. Currently, there's not large signage that would identify that space. I know last summer when we were working with the temporary patio extension rules, we did speak with the Littres as well as with the United Counties, and the United Counties encouraged, even if they could do, computer printed signage inside the restaurant, reminding people of not to park on the bike path or, to use their other space. These are things that we can certainly talk to the applicant about to see if we can make a difference in moving forward.
Yeah, because I mean, certainly, there's things that the county can do, the municipality could do, but I think we need to be all equal partners in this as well to try and solve the situation. So I was hoping that there was something that could be formally part of it, but it sounds like no. What you're suggesting is things we can do are only sort of encouragement.
Actually, because this application is also subject to site plan control with the new construction, because it's located in a commercial zone, I could incorporate those requirements into the agreement, and we can work with the Littres and the United Counties to ensure that the wording we're putting in the agreement is not only achievable but effective, so that it's not just empty promises or a passive approach. We can do that for sure.
Because I would be supportive of that. Is there something that we could have in the site plan that would ensure that this is an expectation that stays going forward?
I'll definitely look into that. And I do know the Littres said they were willing to cooperate when we had that discussion last summer. So we can do that formally.
Thank you, Councillor Jaworski. Councillor McDonnell.
Through you, Mr. Chair, I do agree with Councillor Jaworski to an extent. At the same time, you can lead a horse to water. You can't force them to drink. You can put up as many signs as you want. People are going to park wherever they feel they're safe parking. I think the easiest way to address those parking issues that were brought to our attention is just, as Ms. LaPonce said, some no parking, kind of like that painted on no parking sign on the pavement, and just put maybe it's an empty promise sign that says, $250 fine or towing or etc. If Mr. Littre puts up signs advertising his parking across the street, I think that's as much as you can really expect from a business owner to do. At the same time, it's the same as somebody having a yard sale over the weekends or in the towns and people are parking on the street, and it does mess up traffic. But I think it's more on the counties than it is on the business owner. They don't own that right away in front of her house. It's the county's job.
Thank you for those comments. Okay, so seeing none, we have an application in front of the members. Do I have a mover and a seconder? Moved by Mayor Prevost, second by Councillor Lang. All those in favor? Motion is carried. Thank you. Moving back, okay, next meeting, number 8, April 6th, time to be determined. Ms. Haley.
Yes, thank you, Mr. Chair. At this point, I have 3 applications filed already. I'm anticipating the 4th, and it's possible we may have the 5th. So I'll know more in the next week, and I'll be able to confirm that time once I know how many applications we will actually have.
This is good. Like to see there's development and action going on in the municipality. So with that, I will call the adjournment at 5:50 p.m. All those in favor? Meeting is adjourned. Thank you very much. And we will see you guys in 10 minutes for the public meeting.